Hi, and welcome back to
Inspired to Game. I'm Sean.
And I am Lola. Today we are talking about Guildmaster. Now this is a 2 to 4 player game put out by Good Games Publishing, who we want to thank for sending us this copy to review. Now before we get into a review of the game, we'll give you a super quick overview of how to play. In this game, you are a master of a new adventurers guild, competing against rival guilds for the most fame. Over the course of 9 rounds, you will be building upgrades, recruiting adventurers, and sending them out to complete contracts. To do this, you'll be placing your screen over your board, and you'll take your adventurer cards. You start off with 4, and you have 2 locations to begin with, in which you can place them to give them orders. You will choose which adventures you want to put in which order location and use your private guild card to determine where they're going to go. Once everyone has completed assigning whatever adventures they want to the orders they have available that round, everyone will remove their screens. To begin, you will look to see what everyone placed in their order 1, and it will be resolved in order across the board. So anyone who put down a builder card will resolve the builders first, then recruiting adventurers from A, B, D, E, and onwards, and then from fulfilling contracts for 1, 2, 3, 4, and onwards. Once the first location is dealt with, then you go on to the second location, and so on and so forth. If any of these locations are contested, as in 2 people were vying for the same adventure within the same order slot, then those are dealt with in various ways, depending on which area is contested on the board. Other options adventurers can do are just going and wandering or fulfilling a private contract. Wandering can lead you extra coin as well as extra fame. These are useful actions for if you were planning on going to a certain location that someone got to before you did. Once all the order locations have been resolved by everyone, you will gather up your adventurers and get ready to start a new round. At the end of 9 rounds, whoever has accrued the most fame will be the most successful Guildmaster. Now this game came out in 2020 and I had never heard of it. So we weren't sure what we were getting into when we started it. It sounded like a great idea and we jumped right in. Now we had a ton of fun with this game.
Absolutely.
Now I love the artwork. It is absolutely gorgeous. The drawings, they're so intricate. Each of these various heroes are completely different with a whole bunch of different characters, and I love them. The illustrations are fantastic.
The quality, you can almost see the character behind each of these characters. You can see the life stories in their cards. It's really great illustrations.
And even on the board, all the artwork is fantastic. The components are great, and the contract cards are so much fun too. So there are the common, the heroic, and the legendary, and each one steps it up as far as the complexity of the missions that you're sending your adventurers out on. Some of them are just a lot of fun and very nicely thematic. And one thing that's really neat about this game is, so usually when you're playing an RPG type game, you are the adventurers and you're going out there having the adventurers. Here, you don't have to do that. You're sending them out. You're putting the teams together. You're giving them the orders. You're sending them out either to just simply build to expand your powers and your abilities, or to go recruit more adventurers, or to fulfill contracts. And it's a lot of fun being on that side of it, the boss of everybody, just managing it all and making it all work out well, getting all the rewards and increasing your fame. It's a ton of fun.
And unlike games where you are playing the adventurer and you have to track your health and all the other stuff, you're just the guy behind the scenes. You send them out, they always come back. There is no health in this game. They do not die.
You can fail a contract though, but that's kind of the worst possible scenario. And that gets into the luck of the game, which if you follow us, you know I'm not a huge fan of a lot of dice checking and a lot of luck. And there are dice checks in this. So you are constantly to try to get those contracts. You're rolling dice, seeing if you roll enough. Now, what's really wonderful about this is there are so many possibilities for luck mitigation that you don't even have to worry about it. So as you put more adventurers, you get more powerful adventurers, they can roll dice in a certain category based on what the number is on their card. So if it has 4 in that category, that means you get to roll 4 dice. You put a couple together, well, maybe now you can roll 8. Maybe you only need to roll a 12 altogether. Well, those 8 dice will have no problem making a 12. Now you can play this game with making sure that you really don't have to deal with any luck at all by just making sure you have enough power in your adventurers. As well, there are upgrades that you can do that also further mitigate, like you can turn 1 die to a 5, or you can re-roll 2 dice. There's so much that you can do that can make it so that you can always know that you're going to get that contract when you go for it, and I really love that.
Yeah, and each guild hall can have 4 of those skill upgrades, and for each one you're choosing, do you want to re-roll 2 dice for that, or do you want to get an automatic 5?
Yeah, and I always went for the automatic 5 because I'd like the certainty of that. Yeah. There are also contracts that you can fill out that can let you put an extra die aside that you can use in case of emergency. Maybe you did fail a contract, well, you can take that die of the matching skill that you're going for and put it to it if you need it. I absolutely love that. They even have on the back of the rule book a chart which shows what chance you have of making certain skill checks. You can decide for yourself, do you want to be risky? Do you want to go for a contract when you only have a 50% chance of making it? Or do you want to make sure that you're in the green, that you're going to make it most likely for sure? So somebody who wants to play around with more luck and who likes that excitement of not knowing what's going to happen can approach the game like that. But if you want to be careful, you can approach your game like that, and you can still play that game together. And the abilities on the adventure cards are really fantastic too, and they can be really powerful. So certain abilities will be able to be used in certain phases of a round, and sometimes only on a certain type of moon.
Yeah, most of the time you're sending 2 adventurers out to do whatever order it is, but each, at least the 2 of us, started with a card that if that adventurer fulfilled a contract alone, you got more gold out of it.
Yeah.
And he was a great one to always make sure I'm going to send him on that contract by himself.
Yeah, and you can only do that at the beginning though, when the contracts are easier. Because what's really fantastic about this game is your skills build, and it's very satisfying as your skills build and your upgrades build, so you can do more things. You get to where you can use the 3rd order location and maybe even the 4th order location, as well as being able to take more adventurers on an order, so then you can maximize certain skills out, because you can only ever usually roll 10 dice for a skill check, but it is possible to get 3 adventurers that give you those 10 dice. And these are great for those legendary contracts that need really, really high numbers. So it's very satisfying pulling this all off together, getting the right upgrades you need to. So there's a really good amount of strategy in this game.
Another great thing is it doesn't matter what you do, just about everything you do in this game brings you fame points. If you upgrade, you get fame points. You recruit an adventurer, you get fame points. You fulfill a contract, you get fame points.
So it's fun to put together your orders too. So in that phase of a round, you put up your privacy screen, and from there you use your various adventurers to decide who's going to go on what order, and then you take your corresponding card from your guild deck that matches what you want them to do. So if you want them to recruit builders, then you can place that down, or if you want them to recruit a new adventurer, you put the corresponding letter card down. Same thing with contracts, those are number cards, and then it's all done in order. So it's a lot of fun planning out your next round. Now, once you all reveal your screens, when everybody's done making their decisions, you can have some opposition. So if we're both going in the same order to the builder, well, now somebody gets to go first. We both can do it, but every time you build something, the price is driven up. So you want to be the first one there. So this is done through a skill check assessment. Whatever adventurers you brought along, you'll both roll. Whoever rolled higher gets to go first. Now, if you are...
No, it doesn't have to be the same skill. You're each going to pick the best skill of your team. So some of you might be going for might, some of you might be going for charm.
Yeah, and now if you are contesting for going for the same adventure, so say if you both pick that you want to recruit adventurer B, well, now it comes down to first who's offered them the most money. So there is a base amount of money that they will work for, but if somebody's offered a little bit more, they'll go to them. Now if you both offered the same amount, then it again goes to the skill check. Now, if there is contention over a contract, from here you can decide whether you want to work together or just walk away or actually contest each other and fight for it. Now, what's really neat is that if you both say, no, I can do this contract easily, I want to do it on my own and I want to do it, well, now you have a penalty if you go for it, which is your check needs to be the amount of dice that you're rolling extra above what the requirement is. So if you need a roll of 12 and you're rolling with 5 dice, now you need 17. So it makes it that little bit tougher. But what's great about working together is you can then share the rewards. Everybody gets the same fame for it, and it's really nice because it offers that ability to play a friendly game. If you want to play more friendly, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, let's go for this. You can even plan to go for one together. So plan together to like, oh, hey, let's work on that together or whichever. And I really, really like that.
Some of the higher level contracts will have events that will prevent you from possibly doing certain actions or some other negative game effects that you want to get rid of. So you want to work with your opponents to get rid of that specifically so that you can use character abilities again, or whatever the event was.
Yeah, those events which come out with the heroic and legendary contracts can sometimes be very detrimental. Sometimes they're not. So it can be great to focus on one, and if you don't have the skill set in order to tackle it on your own, it can be great to work with it together. So I love this ability that you can work together if you want to. You can talk about things that way. I love that the luck mitigation is so easy to do. This is a fun game to play.
One of my favorite parts is actually the privacy screens. It represents your guild hall. Everybody has slightly different architecture. It's got your banners on the front for the artwork, and the back of it is a player aid. It has everything you could possibly need for this game, except for that odds chart, but there's really no other place to put it with all the information that you need.
And I actually use that odds chart all the time. I reference it constantly because it's a matter of like, oh, what are my odds of this? For easier and smaller numbers, it's easy to figure that out in your head, but for larger things, it was really great to just consult the chart. So final thoughts on this one. I don't know why I haven't heard of this. It is a really fun game. It's smart. We really enjoyed it. It plays for at least a couple of hours. It plays for a good amount of time, but they actually also have a shorter version too, where you can play to 6 rounds instead of the 9 rounds, which is really nice as well as an option. We always played with the 9 rounds because it's so much fun, and it's one of those things where the later rounds are the most fun because you've built up your character strength and your abilities, and so it's much more satisfying to do. So this is definitely one that's coming back to the table for us again and again because we had loads of fun. Great theme, gorgeous art.
All around wonderful game.
So if this sounded like a good game to you, you might want to check it out. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching today.
If you've enjoyed our content today, please support the channel by subscribing if you haven't already.
And as always, happy gaming, folks. Now this, okay,
Psych!
Sorry, I was going to say a ton of fun again. It's like, then I was going to say a ton of fun again. I don't know if I want to redo that.
Just because you haven't said ton of fun enough.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a compulsion.
This sounded like a game that you might enjoy. Feel free to check it out.
You have our permission.
Exactly.
You may go.
Are the basic? What are they? The different levels?
Common.
Okay. Common.
Heroic. And
legendary. Another thing I really like about this is the I like how I put it in before. Well,
that ship has sailed, so I don't know what you're gonna do.
It really has. They're really like the contract cards for this too. They are so much fun. So there are the common, the
Heroic and legendary.
Okay. Ability cards on the adventurer cards.
My mind was trying to get those other words out. My mouth's like, nope. The word I'm gonna say is subscribe. That's all I'm saying.
Do you want to do it again?
I think I do.
Okay.